What's up, guys, and welcome back to Electrix Moto. Today, what we're going to be talking about is our E-Ride 3.0 build. We are going to do this helmet cam style today simply because I forgot my tripod and it's super windy. The microphone is really close to my mouth, so I apologize if it's super loud. I'll try to turn it down later, but we're going to talk about how you can make this bike better with only about 400 bucks. It is a great bike. It comes with a lot of awesome components, and I think everybody knows that. But for a really small amount of money, you can make this bike much more similar to this bike in the way that it rides. This is our 2024 Starkvark that we just picked up, and we have been riding it out here at Motoland for the past 2 days. And to say it is a track monster is definitely an understatement. But back to the 3.0, because I think the things that we're going to talk about, not only do they not cost you very much money, but it gives you an overall better experience when you're riding this bike. We will put links in the description for you, as well as the discount code. If you want to purchase the parts from us, that would be great. If not, that's fine too. Let's dive into the 3.0 and the things that we've done and what we think you should do before you get this bike on the trail, track, or street. So starting off with the seat, the first thing that we do is a seat cover pretty much on every single bike. We have only had the Starkvark for a couple of days, so our seat cover has not came in yet, but this is, I think, roughly about a $100 purchase. And what this does is it completely changes the way you can grip the bike. It just feels better on your butt, quite honestly, but it also leads us into the next components, and because you have a lot more space right here that you can kind of grip with your knees while you're riding. And obviously, if you've ridden for a while, you know that gripping with your knees and your legs in general is an important part of the process. But the only way you're going to be able to really grip this with your knees is by installing the Warp 9 drop pegs. So this gives you 1 inch of drop from the factory location. You can also raise it back up, or you can drop it all the way down, depending upon how tall of a rider you are. I'm not that tall of a guy, but I like having drop pegs on all of my bikes. I have them on my Ultra B. We put them on every single one of our bikes that we build for our shop, and that's because it lowers your center of gravity on the bike, brings your feet closer to the ground, and allows your knees to hug this part of your seat cover right here, which gives you much more control of the bike. The 3.0 is fast, so having as many points of contact is great. We always try to go with 6 points of contact. You have 1 for each foot, 1 for each side of your knees, and 1 for each one of your hands, which is obviously the handlebars. So that's your 6 points of contact. Now, what we've added here is the red Warp 9 foot pegs. The foot pegs that come on the 3.0 actually aren't bad, all things considered. But what I will say is Warp 9 is much better. They're just a thinner profile. These spikes that you can screw in, you can kind of change these out as you feel necessary. I like this peg the most, and it kind of goes with the theme of the black and red for our shop E-Ride Pro build. So that right there is a huge difference maker in the way the bike handles, coupled with the seat cover. The next 2 items are the 3-inch rise handlebars as well as the stem lock. We'll start with the stem lock because the stem lock for us gives this bike more rigidity, and I just feel more comfortable with the Warp 9 stem lock, and it also looks a lot better with all the other accent colors that we have. And having a 3-inch rise bar sits you up in the bike a little bit, and quite honestly, it just makes you feel like you're in a more moto style riding position. Now, that's not for everybody, but for us, that's how we like to ride, and that's why we do these things first. I'm not saying everybody should do these things, but what I will say is they change the way our bikes ride immediately. And that whole setup, I'm going to say roughly is between $400 and $450. I will have links in the description for all of these products if you're looking to do something similar to your bike. But this setup right here is probably the best setup that you could have for an E-Ride Pro 3.0. The next thing you could do is tires. That's up to you, and depending upon how you ride, I would much prefer a moto style tire, but I don't ride this on the track. I just ride it on trails. So far for me, it hasn't been a big deal, but that will be the next thing for us, putting a more knobby tire on the front and rear to give us more control when we're in loose terrain. Okay, so I know this video was short and sweet, but the point being is for a very small amount of money, you can make your E-Ride Pro 3.0 feel much like a full-size dirt bike like the Starkvark. Obviously, it doesn't have the power. Obviously, it's not as capable. But the way the Starkvark sits is you sit higher up, you have a better seat, You have lower pegs. So all of those things is what we do to make our small bikes feel very similar to our big bikes. And that's something, if you're used to riding big bikes, but you want a small bike to have fun with, which is what I use this for. I don't ride this aggressively, and I don't ride this in conditions like I would ride my Stark Varg or my Ultra B, but this bike is very capable and it's a lot of fun. I just need it to feel more like a bigger bike so I feel more confident when I'm riding. If you guys have any questions or you like this style of content, because this is really easy to create and I could do this a lot every single week, please leave that in the comments. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. Again, discount code and the links for everything you see on our eRide Pro 3.0 will be in the description, and we will see you guys on the next one.